Welcome to everyone that's joining either in the live Zoom webinar session. We're also streaming live on YouTube, so welcome to people watching over YouTube. And also if you're watching back to the recording, that's going to be on YouTube after today. So I'll make a start. My name is Sarah Patterson. I work in the Department of Technology Enhanced Learning in MTU. And this session is going to be on Zoom new features. So I'll just go to the next slide here. So I'm going to focus on two main new features that actually only just came out and are available this week in Zoom. And then there's some other new-ish features that we may have covered on previous sessions or already have on our help site, but I'm going to cover them again today in case you missed them because you might not know about them. So the features that I'm going to cover today are the new Q&A feature for meetings. So you might see in this webinar, if you're joined on Zoom, there's a Q&A feature. And if you've ever been to a Zoom webinar, you might see that. But now Zoom, since the last week in our MTU license of Zoom, we've been able to add Q&As to regular meetings. So you can get students, or if you're having a meeting with colleagues, you can have a Q&A feature turned on. And I'll go through how that works. There's also a new Zoom Notes feature that literally just came out about 2 days ago. And that's basically for taking notes during a Zoom call. And you can also share them outside of the Zoom call. So that can be either for yourself or you can have collaborative notes. And then these other features are things that we've had for the last year, but you might not know about. So there's sharing slide control, using slides as a virtual background where you're in front of the slides. Annotation tools, that's annotating when you're sharing your screen. And this is a really cool one actually that you might not know about. It's booking Zoom meetings in Canvas. So basically, if you want to have office hours that your students can book with you, I can show you how to set that up in Canvas. So one thing to note is because I am doing this session through a Zoom webinar, I'll be showing some pre-recorded videos of how some of these features work, because it will just be a bit confusing trying to show them within a webinar when that's not a regular meeting. So I'll just click through and I'll talk over the videos for those sections. So on to the next slide. So the main thing to note before you do anything to check out these new features is first make sure that your version of Zoom is up to date. And to do that, you have to just open your Zoom client, click on your profile picture thing on the top right, and then click check for updates. And then if there are updates, you can install them, and then you'll have all the features that I've mentioned at the start, especially the notes feature. If you haven't updated this week, you'll need to update that because it only came out literally 2 days ago, as I said. And before I go into all the new features, I'll also just show you some best practice stuff to do, just as a reminder, really, best practice things to do before you start a Zoom call. So this is in a video as well. I'm just going to start the video. So this is me. This is the desktop client. And as I showed for updating the Zoom client, you can also click here to sort out your audio and video basically ahead of a Zoom call. So I'm clicking on my little icon there, and then I'm going to click settings, and then it's going to open the settings, and I just have to drag the window over. You'll see there's loads of settings you can change, but I'm going to focus on the video and audio. So this is just a thing I pre-recorded. So you can see here, you can select the camera that you want your Zoom camera to be. So if you have multiple cameras connected to your PC, you can select which one that you want to use. So I have two cameras. I have one in my actual laptop, and then I have an actual external camera, which is called the Logitech Brio, and that's the high definition camera that I have. So you can just see, I'm going to switch to the other camera. You can see it's from a different direction because my laptop was over to my right. So I switch back to the Brio. You can also turn off HD or on HD for your camera. I'd recommend HD, it's just better quality video. You can also, as you see here, mirror your video, so you can flip the way that the video is displayed as well. So if you want to do that, then touch up my appearance, that just kind of smooths out your features, kind of like, you know, an Instagram filter or something if you wanted to smooth out your features a little bit on the video. but I wouldn't put it all the way because it might look a little bit uncanny valley. So you can do that, and you can also click, I'm going to do that 1 second, adjust for low light. So if you're in a low light room, you can do that. There's a lot of other settings there you can play around with if you want to, but I'm going to move to audio. So you won't be able to hear this, but this is going to be me setting up my speakers and my microphone to make sure they're working properly. So I'll just press play again. And if I click test speaker, it'll play a little tune out of the speaker that I have selected. So if it's the wrong speaker, then you'll be able to detect that either if you hear nothing or if the sound is coming from the wrong speaker. So I'll just play again to show. So that's showing that it's playing audio out of those speakers, but I don't have sound on this video, so you won't hear it. But I can select different speakers. See, I have 3 options there, but I'm happy with that one. And then the same with mic, you can test the mic. So here I have it set to microphone away. That's just the default laptop mic that I have. And then to test mic, I just click test mic, I speak, and then it plays it back to me out of my speaker basically. And if that sounds okay and I'm happy with it, I can stick with that, or I can change what the microphone is to a different microphone. So you'll see, I'll click on that and there's different microphones there. And then finally, another thing that's worth having a look at is background and effects. So my video there has blur on, but I can turn that off if I want to. Turn it back on, and I think all MTU accounts also have some preloaded backgrounds they can use, so MTU branded backgrounds. So I'm just going to click on one of those, and there's a number of ones they can use, or you can also add your own image or video to be your background too. So those are just some best practice things before we actually get into the new features. And now I'm ready to show you those features. So the first one, this is probably the main new thing that I want to talk about, so it'll take most of the session, is the Q&A tool. So what's different from just using chat as the Q&A tool is different because you can have it set so that not everyone sees what's being asked. So if you have a chat, maybe everybody in your class will be able to see what's in the chat all the time. But if you want to be able to take questions from your students, or if you're running an event, then that you can use the Q&A tool, and then you can see them privately and answer them when you want to. You can also answer questions either privately or for everyone, and you can answer them live. So if I just go to the next slide, I'm going to demo how you set it up. So I will do this live here. I'm just going to minimize this and open here. So if you're scheduling a meeting, now this works if you're scheduling a meeting from the Canvas integration, the Zoom integration, but it also works if you schedule a meeting in telcit.zoom.us. But I'll just show you if I click schedule a new meeting. Now you won't see anything about Q&A in the settings because it's just on by default. So when you save that, the Q&A tool will be there. But you might want to configure how it works because there's a few things that you can change about it. And in order to do that, you actually have to log into telcit.zoom.us and then log in. And I'm just going to go back. I'll have to log in again 1 second and I'll show you how to log in. Okay, it's logged me in. So if I go into my meetings, and any meeting that you schedule through the Zoom integration in Canvas will also be on your tlcit.zoom.us account. So you find the meeting there, just click in on the meeting. And then I'm just going to show you, I'm going to click edit. And then I'm going to click show. And you'll see that the Q&A is there, but you can't turn it off because we have it set to that it's always on by default. But if you do want to not use it in a session, I can show you how you can stop it from being used. So I'm just going to click save on that. And then you'll notice there's these 3 tabs or buttons at the top of the meeting in this tlcit.zoom.us, and you can click Q&A. And this Q&A that I have set up, these are the settings that are turned on for it. But you might want to change some of these settings for your Q&A for your meeting or your class. So to do that, you just click edit. And I'll just go over these settings. So if you don't actually want to use the Q&A in your session, the button will still be there, but you can prevent people from being able to use this. You just have to click this and it'll stop participants from being able to submit questions. But if you do want to allow people to submit questions, make sure that that's turned on in the settings. You can also choose whether to allow anonymous questions or not. So if a student wants to ask something anonymously, they can do so if this is turned on, and they'll just come up as an anonymous person when you're getting the question. And I'll show you what that looks like in a moment. So you can turn that on or off. You can also change the settings on whether you want participants to be able to see answered questions only or all questions. So if it's set to all questions, that means as soon as anyone asks a question, everyone will see the questions that have been asked. But if you want to set it to answered questions only, that means when people ask questions, only you and the co-host, so the host and the co-host, will see those questions until you actually answer them. And then you can even only answer them privately if you want to. So it's up to you how you want to set it up. But if I select all questions, there's some other options underneath it. So you can select attendees can upvote. So that means that if you're displaying all questions as they come up, then maybe your students want to upvote questions that they also want to hear the answer to. So you could be getting in a lot of questions and you want to prioritize the questions that are popular. So you can allow your students to upvote, and you'll see that a question has 10 votes, let's say, then maybe that question should be prioritized and you should answer that question first. And you can also set questions to allow comments, and that means that students will be able to comment on questions. So maybe if they have a related question or a follow-up question on a question, they can add a comment. And again, I'll show you how all that looks in practice when we get back into the presentation. So that's how you can configure it. And also if you want to, and I'll show you this as well, you can configure all these settings in the Zoom class itself. I just recommend that you do it ahead of time if there's something you definitely want to turn on or turn off, just in case you forget or don't have time to in the actual meeting. So I'll go back into the presentation and we'll just show you. So this is actually what it looks like from the student perspective, how it looks, the Q&A. So you'll see here, there's just a Q&A box here, and they can ask a question, and there's also a box. So this session that I've taken a screenshot of had it set up where you could send anonymous questions. So they can tick that and then ask their question and be able to send anonymous questions. So we'll go into our first video and hopefully this works okay. And I just have it where I blurred out the person I was testing with, but you should be able to see everything works properly. So if I just press play, you can see there's a question here, and I'm going to click here. So when you get a question in the Q&A, you'll get a little notification on the Q&A icon. So I'm going to click on that. And then you see I have this person blurred out, but you can see they've asked a question, when is the assignment due? And I can choose whether to answer it live or I can type an answer to them. So I'm in this video, I'm going to type out an answer. So I click type answer, and you'll see I can type in an answer there. And I can also click send privately if I want to, but I'm just going to type the answer and send that to them. So I've just written that the assignment's due 9th of December and then send. And then I'll just show you the next slide. This is what it looks like to the student. They get the answer from me and that comes up. And also I think I had this session set up that everybody saw this, so it wasn't sent privately. Everybody can see the question and the answer. And because this screenshot is from that student, it also shows on this little tab the My Questions. So then if I wanted to answer a question live, this is how you do that. So I'm just going to go in, you see answer live. And basically when you click answer live, the student who asked the question is going to get a notification saying that the person is going to answer this question live. So you answer the question, you know, live during the session. And then once you're done explaining whatever it is, then you can click done. So I'll just show. So it's just me. You go with your voice, you just answer the question, you show them whatever you need to show them. And then when you're finished answering the question, you click done. And that's that. And I'll show you when I go into the next one. You can see here, once you've answered the question and clicked done, this is what appears on the student side of things. It says this question has been answered live. Okay. And then you might get questions that you don't want to answer. You might want to dismiss them, either if you get a lot of the same questions or there's maybe an inappropriate question or something. So it's very easy to dismiss questions. So this is in this one. So you can see this person, they've asked anonymously because it's set up as allowing anonymous questions. And I don't want to answer that question. So all I have to do is hover over the question and you'll see there's a little options icon here. So just click that. And I can choose either delete the question entirely or dismiss it. So for this video, I just dismissed the question and then I don't have to answer it. So that's how that works. And then I think finally, I am going to show how to change the settings from within the window. So it's this little gear icon here. So all the settings that I showed you on tlcit.a.zoom.us, you know, the Zoom website, you can also edit from the window right here. So you can see all the settings that I went over before. You can edit them here. So if maybe you had anonymous questions on, but you decided it's actually not working very well that way and you don't want them anymore, you can turn that off during the session. And you can also change all these settings. You can also click merge to window. And what that does is it just puts this Q&A tab on the side of your screen instead of this pop-up window that I had. But if you want to change it back, you can easily just click pop out. It'll go into a window again. So that's how that works. Then I'm just going to show what it looks like if you do have upvoting and comments turned on. So you can see here, I'm just showing you the different tabs. So open and answered, because I've answered these questions. And you can open and collapse things, but also, oh, sorry. Go back to this one. But you can also see that they've commented. So the person's commented, and also they've upvoted this question. So that's what the upvoting looks like. And I'll also show you what that looks like in the next slide. You can also delete questions if you want. So there's this little trash icon. You can click that and that'll delete questions or comments as well if you want to do that. So just on the next slide here, you can see what it looks like for the students. So there's these little thumbs up icons. If you click that, that's you upvoting basically. So you can see that the student has upvoted this question. And there's also this little comment button. If they click the comment button, they can add a comment to that question. So that's basically it for the Q&A tool. And there is a help article, a brand new help article on our help site on it as well. So if you have any confusion about it, or if you want to go over the steps, you can have a look at that. And I'll show you how to get to that at the end of this session. So the next brand new thing that we have on Zoom is the notes feature. So this is really simple, just allows people to take notes during a Zoom meeting. So you can either take notes just for yourself, or you can have collaborative notes. And what's also really important to note about notes is they can be kept and shared outside of the Zoom meeting. So you're not losing the notes after the Zoom call is over, basically. So I'm just going to show you how to make a note. I just put play. You see there's a little notes icon at the bottom of your screen, and then you click the new icon, the new button there, and then make a note. So I'm just going to add text to that note. And at the moment, that's a private note. I haven't shared it with anyone, so I'm just adding to it, and that's my note. And I'm able to then access that outside of Zoom as well. Then go to the next video where I'm going to show you how to share that note with people in the actual meeting that you're in, so it can be collaborative. So you just go up and you see there's this share button. It's blue with an arrow on it, and that's the button you click to share the note. So when you click that, you can share the note to meeting so that everybody that's in that meeting or that class can also collaborate on the note. So I'm just going to click that, click share to meeting, and there's a number of options here as well. So you can either set it as a collaborative note, so collaborating. That means that everybody in the meeting can edit the note, or you can set it to viewing. So you might be making notes, but you don't actually want everybody else in the meeting to be able to add to them. You just want them to be able to see them and see what you're doing in the notes. So for that, you would click viewing. And then this checkbox here, allow persistent access to verified meeting participants after closing the document. That just means that if you have that clicked, it makes sure that everybody that was in the meeting continues to be able to access that note from their Zoom accounts when the Zoom class or the meeting is over. So for this, I'm going to click collaborating, and then I will click share note. And then it's sharing to the meeting, and it will usually take a little while. You have to wait for the student or the person that's in the meeting to accept the invitation to join the collaborative note. And once they do, then they can start collaborating on the note. So you'll see here in a second, that's the other person who I've also blurred out writing in the note. So that means it's being collaborative. And then if you want to stop sharing the note and not allow people anymore to be able to access a note, you just press this stop button here, and that will stop the collaboration. Okay, perfect. What you can also do is share a link to the note, and that link will open in another window so that people can add notes outside of the Zoom meeting. So click play, and you click the same share button, the blue with the arrow. Click that. And then click, see here, it says link access, copy link. So I've copied the link. So you could share that with anyone outside of the meeting, or you could share it in the meeting and then people can access it. But you can change this setting here to only invited members, or you can add certain people. Same here, you can add contacts. It doesn't actually just have to be people in the meeting. But I'm just going to copy the link and post it into the Zoom chat so people can click on it. So I'm just going to get out of that and click the chat and paste in that link. And then it'll just show you, I'm going to click on the link and open it. I'm just dragging over the window, and then we have the note, and we're outside of Zoom and we can still access it. And if I click back, you'll see this is actually the Zoom account. So your Zoom account will have this notes tab. So you can actually make notes completely out of Zoom and then add them to Zoom later if you want to. And also the notes that you made in the live Zoom meeting will appear here on your tlcit.zoom.us account. And just to show here at the end is this is the notification that other people in your meeting, when you invite them to collaborate on a note. So when you click share to meeting, this is what will appear on other people's accounts, and they'll have to click start collaborating to accept that, and then they'll be able to collaborate on a note. And again, there's a new help article on our help site on this new feature. So if you want to go over the steps, and it also has the videos that I've recorded, I'll show you where you can find that at the end of this session. So then I'm just going to kind of quick fire go over some other things that we might have covered before, but if you don't know about them, then it's worth having a look. So sharing slide control. So this is where if you're sharing a PowerPoint, you can get someone else to be able to go through the slides for you, so you don't have to worry about it basically. So if I just click play and I'm sharing, I'm going to pick this PowerPoint here. So just wait, I will click on it and click share. And then you'll see, now this is a little bit small on the screen, but it just says slide control. So if you click that, just a second. Yeah, click slide control. Then you can pick someone that's in the meeting with you at the time and allow them slide control privileges. And again, I've just blurred out their name. But when I click that, then that person has control of the slides. So you don't have to do it, basically. You can deliver the presentation while someone else controls the slides. And this is just showing now, it's hard to tell, but it's not me controlling the slides, it's the other person controlling the slides there. Then another thing you can do, which is quite cool, is have slides as a virtual background. So you can have it so that you are superimposed on top of the slides, basically. So it's just me setting that up. I click share screen and I have to go to the advanced tab, and it's PowerPoint as virtual background. So if I go click that, click share, then I just need to navigate to a PowerPoint here and then click on it. And then you see there I am. I'm superimposed on top of the PowerPoint, and then I can go through. Only one thing to note when you're using this function, there isn't a share slide control feature. You do have to go through the slides yourself when you're doing it this way. Okay, and then annotate. So this is where you can annotate over your screen when you're sharing something on your screen, basically. So if I click play, and then I click, so I'm just going to share the actual presentation that we're currently in, and I'm going to annotate it. So you can see the Zoom controls are up here. There's an annotate button right here. So I'll click annotate, and there are a load of different things that I can do with the annotation. So there's text, draw, stamp, spotlight. I'm just going to show some of those. So I have it on set to draw. So it's just me doing a little squiggle. Then text, I can add text. It's just that text button here, and I'm adding text, but I see it's very small. So I click the format button here, and then I can make that text bigger. I can also add a stamp. So if I wanted to indicate, you know, an arrow to something, you can do that. It's also spotlight. Sorry, I've gone back to the start 1 second. Spotlight. So that's if I want to highlight something, it doesn't actually draw anything on the page, but I might want to get people's attention somewhere, has this little highlight thing. And then if I want to erase anything I've done, there's an eraser, and I can just click on things and it'll erase them. There's also undo and redo buttons. And then if I want to clear everything and start again, I can clear all drawings, just clear my own drawings, or clear viewer drawings. And also, let me just play that again. I can save. So I can save this whole thing, and it'll save as a PNG in my downloads folder. So if I click that, I can download that. And if I click show in folder, it'll show it in a folder as well. So that's how annotating works. And then the final thing I'm going to cover, and this is, I'm going to do a live demo of this, is bookable schedules. So this is where you can make office hours for yourself for allowing your students to be able to book in Canvas time with you. Maybe if you have time slots where you're available, where students can come and book a slot and ask you questions. It's really handy. So I'll show you how to do that. So I'm just going to minimize my screen and go into Canvas, and you'll see here in Zoom, in the Zoom tab on all of your modules, there's home, and that's where all your meetings and stuff are, but you can ignore this. There's also an appointments tab, so click the appointments tab, and then you can click create schedule. So just click that. So say every Wednesday from 4 to 6 p.m. you want to allow students to be able to book time with you to ask questions on a project or something like that. It's really simple to set that up, and maybe you want to have 15-minute windows where they can do it. So that's what I'm going to set up. So I'll click Wednesday and I'm going to select the time. So let's say 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Perfect. And say you want this every Wednesday until a certain date. So I'm going to go till December and say Wednesday, the 13th of December, and then it'll end the repeat. And then we have, I have it set to 15-minute intervals. So the meetings will be 15-minute long. But you can change that to 30, 45, or 60. So I'm just going to call it office hours. We can call it whatever you want. And then click create. Okay, let me just refresh. I'm not sure what that error is. Might have to do it again. 1 second. Did work earlier. I'll just quickly do it again. So I'm going to do 4 to 6 p.m. 6 p.m. And let's select the end date again. Yep. And office hours. Yep, so that worked this time. I should have refreshed the page earlier, sorry. So that's how that works. And I can show you what it looks like for students. If I just click home and then click student view. And then I'm just going to go to the Zoom tab and click on the appointments tab. And then we see there's an office hours option here. So I'm going to click that. You'll see there's nothing here because it's from Wednesdays that I've set it up. So I'm just going to click to go to next week. And you can see that we have it set it up, that there's all these intervals where they can book. So if they say, oh, I want to have a meeting with my lecturer at 4:30, they just click that. And then they click book. And then they've booked the session with their lecturer. So it's really handy, and then they can just go on Zoom and have that meeting with their lecturer. It's very simple. So I'll just leave the student view and go back into the presentation. Okay, so I think that's everything. I will get to questions in a moment, but I'm just going to show you, we have our department website. So we've updated the website over the summer. So I'll just show you, it's a new website. You can get to staff resources by just clicking for staff and then clicking here, and then you can get to our help docs. But you can also find our live training. If you go down here on the for staff tab, there's a training calendar. So you click that. So this is the training we're currently in, the Zoom's new features. This afternoon, we have a Canvas and Zoom general refresher if you want to register for that. And then next week, we have 2 sessions on Canvas accessibility. And this is our help site. So I think I have the link to the help site. It's a bit hard to remember though, tlhelp.eu.helpdocs. So I would recommend people just go for staff and click on help docs. And just to show you in those help docs, there's 3 actually new help guides on the things that I covered today. So using notes for Zoom meetings. So you can click into that, and it has the videos that I have shown today as well. So that's how you set up and use notes for Zoom meetings. And then we also have the Q&A tool. So it's all explaining all the different things for configuring and then how to do it in the same videos that I've used today. And we also have a help article on creating the Zoom meeting schedules for students. And the students themselves will also have a help article on how to do it. So if you want to send to them how to do it, how to book with you, there is an equivalent article on the students help site as well. So that's it. So I'm just going to look to see if there are any questions. Okay. I see, Eva, you have a question. If someone asks an anonymous question, can their identity be established afterwards, say because you got quite concerned about a student based on the message they just sent? Now, I'm not 100% sure on that, but I imagine that they can't. So you may wish to reply to that student and ask them to come to you afterwards. I can double check after the session, but I think if it's anonymous, they'll stay anonymous. by the very nature of it. Do you have any other questions? I know there might be a section where I went a bit too fast. So if you have any other questions, just add them to the chat or put them in the Q&A. And Lauren, if there are any, Lauren is my co-worker. If there's any questions coming up on YouTube, can you let me know as well? I'll just wait a minute there. Okay, I think that's it. So you can watch this video back. We'll be making a little bit of edits on it over the coming day, but it's already available on YouTube just with a bit of a start at the beginning, but it'll be edited properly tomorrow if you want to watch it back. So thank you for coming, everyone. And I hope you have a great year lecturing this year. Thanks.